Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined by Brian Leonard and Scott Spreitzer. We're going to break down Wisconsin, Alabama, and guys, a pretty big game for opening week. And you got to give Alabama credit in Coach Saban. You know, most guys, coaches, first week of the season, especially a big program, you know, where you got to look to run the table basically to get to the national championship or have just one loss. They're going to schedule cupcakes, but Alabama doesn't. They take on a decent foe every year at the beginning of the season. You got to give them credit for that, and that might be what makes them a little stronger later in the season.
I agree with that. I mean, I can't disagree, but we were talking a little bit earlier about, you know, how smash mouth football has left the scene in college football. Well, I think Alabama, I don't know if you guys agree, but they're going to be doing a lot of smash mouth football in the early going when you look at what this team lost from last year in that receiving core. Amari Cooper playing on NFL Sundays, now leaving the program early. And you've got a quarterback who we don't know if he's going to be able to deliver the pigskin to his receivers like we've seen maybe in the last couple of years because of some of the changes on offense. But I think this is your father's Alabama football team where you're going to see run that ball, run that ball, run that ball, and then rely on put their game and rely on that defense to shut guys down or other teams down. And that defense is nasty, tough, a lot of skill, and I think it's going to be very stout. So this might be one of those smash-mouth football games that we've talked about in the past, Marco.
Now, Brian, you know, Wisconsin, they've got a new coach, and I'm not happy about that because he bolted from Pitt, and it was just a matter of time. I knew it was going to happen. You know, Wisconsin knocked on his door before, and he said, no, I'm staying at Pitt. But then with the surprise defection coach leaving, where'd he go? Oregon State, I believe. And he gets the job, and there he goes. But Wisconsin, you look at them, and we know what Wisconsin is every year. They don't have a flashy quarterback. They're going to try to line up and play smash mouth as well, and that works for them for the most part in the Big Ten. But can they do that against an SEC team? And right off the bat, week one, we're going to get the old Big Ten versus SEC, which is the better conference. We all know which is the better conference. But can Wisconsin go in there and stay with Alabama?
Well, first off, I want to talk about Saban because this is really, you know, how in boxing you pick out your opponents based on the strengths and weaknesses. Wisconsin's been known as, like Nebraska used to be, just running the ball right down your throat. So that's really what Alabama and Saban want. They want the team that they can go head-to-head with and then defensively use that defense to control the field of play. Alabama doesn't even know who their quarterback is at this point. I'm not up on Alabama this year. You know, I took plus 10 at the Golden Nugget earlier with Wisconsin. Now we're seeing 10.5s and 11 because Wisconsin's offensive line is having some problems right now, and that's my concern in this game. If Wisconsin can't control the offensive line, then they may be in a little bit of trouble here. I've got the 10. I'm sticking with it, but it's a game at this point I wouldn't play at this point.
Left guard, right guard, left tackle, left guard, right guard, I believe. They got 3 new offensive linemen for Wisconsin, which is kind of what you were alluding to a little bit in the college football early tips. I got to ask you real quick, though. Paul Chryst didn't do great things at Pittsburgh. Should we expect him to do great things at Wisconsin?
You know, he's going to have better he wants to run the football, and they're generally going to have the better backs. They always had a good offensive line. It's questionable this year, but he doesn't have a quarterback. And
you know, like Stave.
No, this guy last year, I mean, he was inconsistent the entire year, and he's going to lose his security, blanket. You know, you lose Melvin Gordon, stud running back last year. Now, they got a good guy that got a lot of touches last year. I think he rushed for 900 yards. So they've got some experience back there, but it's not what they had with the explosiveness, and they had a great 1-2 punch last year when they took Gordon out. What happens if they fall behind in this game? That's my concern. We're just, these spotlight games, not, official pick, but we know everybody's going to want to watch these games and might want to have a beverage or two and, enjoy it with a few bucks on it. For me, I got to play Alabama or I'm not playing the game. I've got it 31-17 Alabama.
I'll still stick with Wisconsin a little bit. Wisconsin's a factory of making running backs. How many times have we seen the last guy leave and say, well, they're never going to replace him, so I'm not too worried about that. But I'll take Alabama. Let's go 24-17.
I'm going to go 27-17. I'll get you your push with your plus 10 and a little bit on the under
You
there.
got the worst of the number. I'll
There
take
you
the
go.
push.
All right, so Scott's leaning more to the under there for his. There you have it on the National Spotlight game. Should be a good one, Alabama and Wisconsin. If you want to check out all of our videos, check out all the games we covered this weekend, head on over to wagertalk.com and check out the video section.